Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Star Wars Rebels Revisited. I'm Ashley Brienzo,
Hi, and I'm Mark Von Olen.
and this week we're going to be discussing a listicle, something we haven't quite done yet with our show. And we're going to kind of pair off and see where we compare and contrast with our top 10 Inquisitor moments from Star Wars Rebels. So we're going to be getting into the nitty gritty this week. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Um, we've been following the Inquisitors now for a couple weeks. Obviously, they were all over the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which is what inspired this sort of mini collection of episodes from us. We did the Grand Inquisitor watch along with two of his best episodes. Last week we did the Seventh Sister and Fifth Brother, which I think are two of the best episodes in the whole series, with Always Two There Are and Future of the Force, which I love, love, love.
right.
And now we're doing a sort of summary of all of that, of like what were our favorite episodes from across all the episodes they were in. So it's going to be cool to check them out. And then at some point we'll actually do the watch along for most of these, I think.
Yeah. So you'll get to see what we're talking about and why they're our favorite moments and see if your top 10 would kind of compare with ours.
Yeah, I think everyone in the comments should put down what their favorite moments are. You don't have to build a whole top 10 list, but
Right.
tell us what you think. What are the moments that stand out to you? What are the ones that like sort of caught you off guard? What are the ones that you always think about when you think of the Inquisitors? There are a couple that just like come right to the top of my head whenever I think Inquisitor, like this is the thing that happened.
Right.
I will say building this list was hard though, because I was like, oh, they're not in that many episodes. Like it'll be easy to get to 10. And then it very easily became I have like 17 moments. How do I rank them and keep them in a way that makes sense?
Oh,
Did you
it's
have a
true.
similar struggle?
I did. And I didn't want to do, and this is not disparaging you at all, but I didn't want to do any honorable mentions. So I was just like writing everyone down. And then if I really thought something was better, I would cross it off and just be like,
Yeah.
eh.
I had a full rank that I think went to 18 or something. And then I was like, all
Wow.
right, well, what do I have to just like note that I think we should mention? But yeah,
Right.
like the what made it into the number 10 spot was like a duel to the death of like who's going to make it onto the list versus the 11 through 18 that you'll
Oh,
never hear
right.
from. It's
Right.
like they'll never know. The fans will never know.
But maybe they'll have their own and it'll be the same
Exactly.
thing as yours. So make sure you guys put it in the comments. We want to
Exactly.
hear from you.
Especially if you disagree, we definitely want to know. So
Yes.
Scooby will have thoughts, I'm sure.
So please tell us we're
Yes.
wrong.
Yes. It wouldn't be the first time on this channel for me,
Yep.
or any of the other stuff on the VCN. My predictions never come true. We'll see if the listicle is correct as well.
Yeah. And if you guys agree with anything that we have to say, please tell us. If you disagree, please tell us. That's what we're here
Es-
for, healthy debates.
Especially when we get to the number one spot, because
Yeah.
I would say yours is controversial.
Mine is very
Um,
controversial.
yeah, yes, I love yours. By the way, I think it's
Thank you.
fantastic. I
Thanks.
it's not my number one, but we do have a lot of overlap on our list. So what we're gonna
Yes.
do, so structure wise, so we're gonna build our way up. We're gonna start at 10, work our way up like it's Mortal Kombat, like straight up the columns. And where we have an overlap moment, we'll mention it. And we'll tell you why we like these particular moments ourselves. And Ashley's going to kick us off.
I'm so excited to get into this. Like this is probably the thing I've been waiting for the most all week. So let's do this. All right. My number 10 is in Always Who There Are when the seventh sister approaches Ezra and tries to seduce him to the dark side. And you can tell she's just kind of toying with him and kind of she can already sense that he's gone there before and she's just trying to pull him towards the dark side, just like Maul does. And she's so seductive and so crafty about it. And it's just like, ah, it's one of the reasons why she's completely underestimated as an Inquisitor.
Yeah. This moment is, I agree with you. This moment is also on my list. It's actually my number 8 moment. So I have it slightly higher on my listicle.
Oh,
But I love her interaction with Ezra because it does seem like she is toying with him, and that's something that the Inquisitors in general do with Kanan and Ezra. Is they are way more confident than they should be because Ezra and Kanan manages to defeat or escape them constantly because they are overconfident. But
right.
this moment right here, where you're right. She can sense the darkness in him. And that's a whole through line through seasons 2 and 3 is Ezra being pulled to the dark side, pushed by Maul, right? But
Right.
also pulled by the holocron and like these moments of anger and sort of similar to Anakin, where he wants to protect everyone, but that turns into like fear and anger, and very easy for him to tap into the dark side. So I thought that was approached very well by her character.
Right. And I think they also can sense the cracks in Kanan and Ezra's relationship as well,
Mhm.
because Ezra just feels like he's screwing up all the time and
Yeah.
that he's not making Kanan proud. And Kanan's not taking his abilities as a master, uh, you know, to the full extent as he should, because he didn't get to that point when he was a
Yeah.
child. So
He's an
it's
imperfect teacher. Yeah.
absolutely. So they're exposing the cracks in the relationship and they're using it to exploit. And that's very interesting.
Yeah, they're excellent villains. They're so good.
So good. So good.
So big cheers for the Seven Sister. It's not the last time you'll
Yeah.
see her on the list.
No.
Now, my number 10 moment is actually around the eighth brother. And I will say on the spoiler alert side, this is my only mention of the eighth brother. He's only in one episode. He's in Twilight of the Apprentice. But I felt that his interaction with Kanan, where Kanan breaks his lightsaber. So the eighth brother has a lightsaber that can actually spin. It's actually one of the more controversial things in Star Wars, where their lightsabers can spin and they can fly with them, the helicopter sabers. I kind of love that stuff. Like
I
this is what I love about
do.
animation. Like it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be ridiculous. It's supposed to be silly. The force jumping in the prequels is silly and
Yeah.
ridiculous too. So
The
let them have
speed.
that. Yeah, like it's kind of dumb. But like he has that spinning lightsaber. Kanan breaks it, and then the eighth brother tries to escape and tries to spin his lightsaber and falls to his death. So Kanan doesn't quite kill him per se, but he will get credit for that kill because it was him who broke the lightsaber, and then the eighth brother falls to his death. So I felt
Yeah.
like we get a checkbox on like a dead Inquisitor, and Kanan kind of gets the kill. And it's done in a stupid way because like, why are you using your helicopter blade to like, you knew it was damaged. Like
Yeah.
everything about it is just like kind of dumb, which I love. So I like had to put that on the list. Also to give a shout out to the eighth brother who, gone too soon for
Gone
sure.
too soon. R.I.P.
Yeah, exactly. R.I.P.
Barely knew you.
You didn't have him on your list, the eighth brother. He didn't make it onto yours, I don't think.
He kind of did.
In a team up, right? Yeah, same. He's
Yeah.
yeah.
But
There's no individual. Yeah.
in a different way though.
Got
We'll get there.
it. Okay. All right. Take us to your number 9, Ashley.
All right. My number 9 is Maul killing the seventh sister. You guys, I wanted her to stick around for a lot longer than she did. I was so bummed. I was so bummed. Like it's the first time I think since the Grand Inquisitor's death that I've been like really bummed about a character death in Rebels, because even though she's a bad guy, like she's so good at being a bad guy, and it just Maul just taken out anything that was an agent of the Empire, agent of Emperor and of Darth Vader. He just wanted to destroy and just didn't care, took her out.
So I also have this on my list, and I also have it higher on my list. This is my number 6 moment on my list. And I agree with everything you just said. The reason I had it slightly higher is the thing that made it really memorable for me is that Maul actually tries to get Ezra to be the one to kill the seventh sister. Like he breaks through her like force field, right? We keep talking about that, the force field. It actually happened in the episode we watched last week, where in Future of the Force, seventh sister and fifth brother are lightsaber dueling Kanan, and they break him. But then seventh sister just kicks him away. So I was like, that would have been your moment to stab him. But it was also, I think, like a moment of foreshadowing, because like that's how Maul gets her. And then he tells Ezra to kill her, and he won't. Ezra won't cross that line. So he then throws his lightsaber blade, the spinning blade, which I was obsessed with last week, still am. Love a flying spinning lightsaber. There's nothing better. That's straight out of the video game, apparently. So, and that's how he kills her. And it is a heartbreaking moment because I didn't think they were going to do it. I didn't think that we were going to kill the fifth brother, the seventh sister, the eighth brother. Like they're all gone. And in some ways it's like if a character doesn't appear in future Star Wars projects, you assume they're dead. Like when Rogue
Yeah.
One was coming out, everyone's like, oh, Felicity and everyone else has to die. And I was like, why? They could just be on a different planet. Like it's a big galaxy. They might not have been involved in that particular battle. But it does turn out, it seems that everyone has to die in Star Wars if they're in a prequel project and they're not in like the mainline project. So unfortunately, she was taken too soon. Tear.
Right. And I agree with you. It also made her a pawn to pull Ezra over to him. So it's the whole seduction into the dark side thing, where he was using her to pull her death to pull Ezra over to the dark side, and Ezra didn't take the bait.
Yeah.
So
He
he
resisted. He was
he
able to
did.
resist Maul. He was using Maul as much as Maul was using him. And I think that's what, like, and he said that out loud a few times. He was like, no, I'm here to, like, because Maul's going to get us what we need. And Ezra was like kind of right. He also came horrifyingly close to crossing that line, but he didn't.
Yeah,
He did not he did not follow through. So that was good.
that
Um,
is definitely true.
yeah, I agree with you though. It's a big bum out moment when Maul kills her. All right, my number 9 moment is the fifth brother, his death. So we're going down the death line, aren't we? 875. The fifth brother's death is interesting because it's another tag team moment. Like Maul actually gets credit for the kill. But Ahsoka assisted in this. Like Ahsoka and Maul have like a little bit of a team up moment taking on the fifth brother, and Maul is the one who actually kills him though. But like Ahsoka gets the assist, and that for me, like Ahsoka and Maul just teaming up, that for me is a great show. Like I
Yeah.
would watch that like right away. And I don't think you'll get much of that. If in fact, like if we were doing just a general lightsaber battle list, Ahsoka versus Maul goes to near the top of any
Oh my
lightsaber
God.
battle from the final season of Clone
Seriously.
Wars. Like that was amazing. And I
So
can't,
stunning.
yeah, gorgeously shot, like amazing choreography. So, and those characters just have such interesting, almost unnecessary tension. It's like, why are you like this? And yet like their battles are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
So I had to make sure I got that one on there because especially because like also again fifth brother gone too soon. All three of them just taken from us in Twilight. What a great episode though.
Such a good
we
episode.
we have to do. I keep saying we're going to do a watch along for that, but we want to hold on that until we get to a point where it would make sense thematically to tune in and all cry together.
I know. Yeah. All
Um,
right.
what's your number 8? I see a tie in here.
Oh yeah, it's a tie. I'm sorry. I didn't do any honorable mentions, but I totally
That's
did a
okay.
tie. So, um, 8A is the Grand Inquisitor in the Jedi Temple. His duel with and the knighting of Kanan Jarrus in Shroud of Darkness. So that is such a powerful episode because you realize that this temple guard force ghost who is fighting with Kanan is someone who's fought with Kanan before. And when that mask comes off, I was just like, holy
Yeah,
crap.
I did not see it coming.
Oh my God. And you learn that, you know, that's who he was. He was a Jedi temple guard. His role, he was there when Ahsoka went in front of the Jedi Council for her crimes against the Jedi Temple, which didn't happen. And he was so jaded by how Ahsoka was treated and how, her innocence was completely like disregarded that it made him turn to the dark side so much easier. And you learn more about him. And you also get to see Kanan knighted. So that's a huge
Yeah,
moment
that was
because
amazing.
he's been working so hard to get up to that point and not just be a master, but kind of like make his master proud. And it's just, it's the redemption of the Grand Inquisitor and, you know, his, when he dies and falls into the flames, he said some things are worse than death. And in the comics, Darth Vader uses his ghost, um, in pretty crazy ways, and he's never really found peace. So him being in the Jedi Temple and being able to knight Kanan and find that peace
Hmm.
is hugely important, and it's one of my favorite parts.
I agree. I like a redemption story even when I think it's undeserved.
Right?
I feel for him because he also just wanted knowledge. Like there was
Yeah.
something about the knowledge he wanted. And then if I were front row to the mistrial of Ahsoka Tano, I would have also burned everything down. And again, I'm going to go back to something I said 2 episodes ago, the connection to Barasafi and Luminara. Like
Yeah.
he was there to lock up Barasafi, and then in Order 66 became bad and eliminated all the other Jedi Temple guards. I suspect he let Barasafi go, and I wonder if Barasafi and him together took down Luminara, and you then decided to use her bones as like I keep my theories keep growing crazier and crazier. I'm gonna become one of those YouTubers that just like speculates like a lunatic and puts out these like same theories. But I think like the Grand Inquisitor and Barasafi like could have teamed up to take down Luminara, because Barasafi could have been like, Luminara, I've escaped. We need to flee together, and then sets the trap, and then they kill her together. Or not kill her, like kidnap her, and then drag her to the spire, and then we're going to use her bones to lure other Jedi and everyone else. Like you could see that. Oh, it makes me so angry, but also like
it's
really so nuts. It's like just crazy enough to work. So no, like, but love him. Yeah,
love him. Love the redemption. I was not expecting a redemption, but I love it.
Yeah. Oh, this is number 5 on my list, by the way. Just again, a little bit higher than your placement. So I'm fully in with you on this one.
Wow,
you have a part B.
I'm picky. Yours. I'm very picky. Oh my God.
It's funny how we have so much overlap, but our placements are like pretty different on some of these.
Yeah.
So tell us your 8B.
Is 5 and 7 infiltrate the temple on Lothal and encounter the Grand Inquisitor in Shroud of Darkness. So they get to see him in the afterlife, and it's like very,
a follow-up to that.
Oh, totally. And it's so jarring and shocking to them that it just completely throws them off their game. And I think that's ultimately what leads to their defeat. Like, holy crap, like there is a life after this. Like
it's funny too, because it's like, I think if any earthbound humans truly saw a ghost, they would like lose their minds. But like in the Jedi religion and the Sith religion, like spirits are real, and they talk about Force ghosts all the time. It's like it's expected that there's a life after that. But when they see him, they were like, oh no, like we messed up, because they're in the Jedi temple, which means it's their enemy's fortress, and this guy's in there working for them. And there's this moment where they all kind of, they're like, the whole Jedi temple guard surrounds them with the yellow lightsabers, and I guess push them out of the temple. I thought they were going to die in there.
I really did. Oh my God.
But they made it out. Somehow 5 and 7 made it out of the temple on Lothal, which is a brutal temple. We already know that at least 4 Jedi were killed in there, the 2 masters and the 2 Padawan who never came out, just from the episode we just watched. But the Sith escaped, or the Inquisitors escaped.
Seriously.
But what a great episode. Yeah, it's the same one where Kanan is knighted. Ezra talks to Yoda for realsies this time, not just the lights. So we get the growth on that side, and the Inquisitors make it in and then get kicked out by the Grand Inquisitor, who seems to have found some type of peace in the afterlife. And maybe this is part of his servitude. Is like, you can find peace back in the Force and join the good side of the Force again by knighting Kanan and helping him on his path, and encountering your little minions that you used to deal with. Like maybe that's your penance. That could be what saved him right there.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of the Anakin way of things too, because Anakin did some really horrible things, and he was ultimately redeemed by his son and went over to the light as a Force ghost. So if it can happen for Anakin, it can happen for anybody, I guess. So
I agree with that. Like Anakin is the template of as bad as you can be. And he still somehow found redemption. I also think the bar, this could be a whole separate thing. Like I actually think something like Unifying Force would be a great show on the network to tackle this. Like, how low is the bar for redemption? Because it seems pretty low. And for me, like, I have a higher threshold for forgiveness. And like, I think a character like Vader is actually not redeemable. Even if they did apologize or find the light or whatever else in the end, like, should they be allowed to be part of like the Force and be able to commune with, other ghosts, or there need to be consequences? Is there a concept of hell or purgatory? And if so, what tasks do you then need to complete? It seems like the Grand Inquisitor had a list of tasks. There weren't that many, and they seem to have been easily checked off. Like we're talking about a year later, and he's done. He's cooked. He's good to go. That doesn't seem like a high enough threshold for me. And in fact, now I want to do this as a topic on the. I'm gonna call up Dave and be like, "We're doing this for the unifying force. I'm gonna
Yeah,
come
get on
guest
there.
host." Yeah,
Yeah,
and start
but
screaming at people.
could the same be said for Kylo Ren though?
I,
Because
yeah, I
he
mean,
had a very questionable redemption arc.
high body count, and I would say at the very least complicit in genocide, right? Because they blew up planets. So
Yeah,
like he didn't push the button, neither did Vader, right? It was Tarkin and it was General Hux, but like they're part of that group and they slaughtered hundreds, if not thousands of people. Just on like on their own, and then the buttons to push
yeah.
millions
And
and
in the
billions,
villages,
right?
just killing all
Yeah,
those villages, getting to Lor Santeca, like
yeah.
it's
The I don't know
crazy.
how you recover from killing one person. But again, these are Earth morals, and like maybe space morals are
Space
different.
morals,
Like
totally
that's always
different.
the hardest part too. Is like how do we compare this to the real world versus like what happens in the Star Wars universe? But like
Yeah,
I think that Kylo Ren is irredeemable. I think that Darth Vader is irredeemable. I actually think Barriss Offee is irredeemable too. But like and because she killed people, like that bombing actually took lives. I think Asajj Ventress is irredeemable, even though they all had great redemption. They didn't have all great redemption. They all had redemption arcs. Some were great. Asajj's was great.
yeah.
Barriss's was like kind of not. Vader's was it's a kid's movie is how I have to think of
Now,
that, right?
do you think that Barris's redemption arc wasn't as good because it's not over yet?
It's not over yet, right? But I also think her redemption more so in that like she believed what she did was right and she was doing it for the right reasons, but there were casualties and like sort of unintended consequences. Whereas
Right.
like she's coming from a place where like she's not evil. But she does think the Jedi Order had lost their way. So that's more of like a moral conversation of like what is right and wrong.
Same.
And I could have that debate all day because I will be the first one to be her defense attorney because I'm Team Barriss. As you know, I very recently referred to her as my like other favorite character other than Ahsoka.
Oh,
And it was one of those like moments where someone was like her, and I was like, you have to watch the Clone Wars. Like if you don't know the movies, if you watch the movies but you don't know the TV show, you don't know a thing about Barriss Offee. She's just hanging out in the background, and you probably don't even know her name. But
yes.
if you watch the Clone Wars, it's super important. So yeah, we've by the
Really.
way we fully lost the plot on this
Yep.
countdown. You were on, we were
I
on
finished up 8, so it's your turn.
8B. But the 8B, 5 and 7 infiltrating the temple, it's also on my list. I have them as my number 7. So my list is matching yours pretty closely so far. So you should continue now with your number 7.
All right. My number 7 is the fifth brother being bested by Ahsoka but killed by Maul in Twilight of the
Yes.
Apprentice.
And that was my number 9. So
Right.
yes.
So Ahsoka didn't kill him, and Ahsoka was very calculated and very, she held back. She didn't want to kill anybody. She just wanted to defeat them. And because it's not the way she does things.
Yep. We've
And
seen that a few times now. We watched one
yes.
last week where she did that exact thing.
And Maul's just like, whatever, just taking him all
Yeah.
out. Everybody dies.
I'm telling you, I watch the show and more I'm like, I'm Team Barriss, Team Maul. Like they have the right idea. Like, don't let your enemy survive. Like, it's as much as like I respect Ahsoka and she's my favorite character. She should have killed the seventh sister when she had the chance. She should have killed the fifth brother when she had the chance. She probably should have killed more people in the Clone Wars when she had the chance. Like, you can't, like, they're dark side users. They're not coming back.
Yeah, they're irredeemable.
Yes.
And they've done nothing but proven time and time again that they cannot be redeemed in this. And when I think Maul also, like getting back to what I said earlier, Maul was just like, whatever, they work for the Empire, they work for the Sith. Sith
Yeah.
Lords are crap. I'm
Yeah.
done. You're dead. And
yeah, if you were under Palpatine's org chart, which was pretty much everyone in the Empire, right? Like
yeah,
you're an end because Maul, I mean, you know that line from Empire Strikes Back that Dak says, and it's like, I feel like I could take on the whole Empire myself, right? That's Maul.
that's
he really
Maul.
thinks that, and he tried to, and he was like
Yeah.
kind of successful. Like he was pretty good at like ruining all of their plans. Like he got the holocron, Vader didn't get it. He killed all those Inquisitors. He's tried to corrupting Ezra. Like, there's a lot of things that Maul accomplished, even though he was ultimately, like, I think, blinded by rage. And if he wasn't so focused on Kenobi, he could have actually been like a really powerful supervillain. And he was a crime lord for a while in the larger universe. But he took his eye off the ball because of Kenobi.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's like why are you so obsessed with
And
Kenobi?
it just
Like
goes to show you vengeance is a downfall in Star Wars. Like, do not be focused on
it
vengeance.
really
Do not be
is.
focused on rage because it
Yeah.
will come back to bite you in the keister.
Yeah. And in general, don't be focused on anyone else, which I think is
Yeah.
good advice for everyone. Like we like to
Yes.
compare to each other. Like this person has more money, this person has more success in their career, this person's doing this person's doing that. You have to compare against yourself and where you want to be, as opposed to looking for external validation or someone to compare to externally, because then you really do lose the plot. You're like,
Yeah.
where are you supposed to be in your life right now? Not is it where someone else is right now that you need to compare to? That's not
Yeah.
the way to operate. And Maul loses that when he starts focusing on Kenobi.
Yeah. Because he realizes he gets tunnel vision. He realizes he's alive, he's vengeance, he
Yep.
lost half of his body, even insane for X amount of years. Like it's just that whole vengeance, just bring down everything that ever caused him pain. And that's the path he's on in this. And when he kills the seventh sister, he just he doesn't care if he's not going to exploit Ezra. He's just going to take down the Empire.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's pretty good at it. I would bet on Maul. I would have, he would have been on my list of like, if you're gonna team up with someone, Maul's a good partner. All right, let's continue on your list now. Because he killed the fifth brother. We're giving him credit for that kill with a minor assist by Ahsoka, and he killed the seventh sister, so he's getting it done. Number 6 on your list.
Okay, my number 6 is the Grand Inquisitor trapping Kanan and Ezra in Rise of the Old Masters. That was very cunning. Like using, you know, Master Luminara's body to get them inside that prison cell, and just when she just disappears into the coffin, I was just like, oh, that's some dark stuff. And it's so crafty and it's so cunning, and it shows it, like I said last week or the week before, Inquisitors go to new lows to get the job done. They're not afraid of attacking children. They're not afraid of using dead bodies, apparently. And this goes to show you that what they've done is some serious dark side stuff.
Yeah, it's really dark. I mean, so if you guys haven't seen our episode from 2 weeks ago where we do the watch along for Rise of the Old Masters, it is probably my favorite episode from all of season 1, other than Fire Across the Galaxy. I must have rewatched it like 25 times easily. I love the trap that the Inquisitor sets. I love the way that he fights Ezra and Kanan. And I think I was saying 2 weeks ago, like, insults them more than he even fights
Yeah.
them. Like the way he like reads them for filth is just like amazing and heart. And it was like I told you, I'd run out screaming and crying. It's
Right.
such a great moment. I actually have this in my top 3. This is my number 3 top Inquisitor moment for me. The Grand Inquisitor trapping Kanan and Ezra and Rise of the Old Masters. Like I just love that whole episode and that whole scene in the cell, especially the ties to Master Luminara, who I love from the Clone Wars, and it's so brutal and terrible what happened to her. And then the thread you can pull on that and start extrapolating, is there a connectivity to Barriss Offee once you find out the Grand Inquisitor was a Jedi Temple Guard? Like all these things from the Clone Wars, because everything in Star Wars is like this series, this web, this like messed up like interconnectivity of nonsense. Like somehow there's like, despite the fact that the galaxy has trillions of people, the same 400 people all know each other. Like it's kind of unbelievable.
It's kind of like our friendship circles.
It really is. Like it's really kind of bonkers. It's this like it's the Star Wars fandom, right? That everyone kind of like, you could pull out a name from someone in the Facebook group and like someone will know them through 2 degrees of separation.
Absolutely.
Easily. Like it's kind of crazy.
And I also think that you're right. Having, the Inquisitor go that far and be a former temple guard and all of that. I think Filoni and the writing team are so good at laying the groundwork for bigger things to come that I would not count that out.
Yeah.
And especially how Luminara's lightsaber is now available at Galaxy's Edge. That's a big deal. Like I find that a lot of the sabers that are introduced there right now are because there's some big things coming in the pipeline. And I'm just gonna hopefully throw that out to the universe and see if it sticks.
The Cal Kestis lightsaber was not unintentional, right?
Yeah.
Like they announced the video game like minutes later. So
yeah,
like the sequel to Jedi Fallen
Order. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fan vote, the fan vote is cool, but like, it's gonna be one that they will want to make for a reason. So
Yeah, without a doubt.
yeah. And
I
Plo
I
Koon.
will. I love me some Plo Koon, by the way. I'm sad that we know that he's a confirmed kill from Order 66, which is unfortunate. But like we also have Tales of the Jedi coming, so there could
We
be more
also know
Plo
how much
Koon.
Filoni loves Plo Koon, so
Yes,
and how
he
he's
is.
the alias for major characters in Mandalorian. So
And he is the one who brought Ahsoka to the temple.
yeah.
So I think people sometimes forget like how important he is to Ahsoka's story. And if he's
Mhm.
important to Ahsoka, he's important to Dave. And since Dave has so much power in the fandom right now, or in the creative side of things, like I can't imagine that we've seen the last of Plo Koon.
Mm.
Certainly, as we get to more Ahsoka content, I think we're gonna see we have to see Barriss Offee. Like I remember when Rise of the Old Masters came out, episode 5 of Star Wars Rebels, right? Early, and they introduced Luminara, and I was like, confirmed Barriss Offee. We will see her this season. And then
Oh
it's like, well,
yeah.
maybe they were just holding, season 2 really feels like a sequel to the Clone Wars. We're gonna see her. I know she's not one of the Inquisitors, but she'll be another one. We're missing the third sister or the third brother or the fourth sister or the fourth brother. Like someone's gonna pop in. I was like, where's the second sister? And they keep giving us everyone but her, right? And this, by the way, this is like going on year 8 of this nonsense with me, where I'm like, she's gonna be in season 3. And by season 4, I was like, we're not gonna see Barriss Offee. There's not there,
Like,
or maybe we'll get her at a later point. And so my, you sort of you go like this. But now that the Ahsoka live action show is coming, if we don't see Barriss Offee, I will burn down the building. Like it really, I'm like, it is the one thing that I want in the whole thing. The whole series, I don't care like what they do, like what swerves happen, whatnot. Like I need to see live action Barriss Offee back.
oh, I trust in Filoni wholeheartedly. I know the story
Yeah,
that we'll get, the visuals we get, the
it's gonna be
characters we
great.
get. It
Yeah.
will be fantastic, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. If I don't get that, I'm going to be so upset. And I know I'm setting myself up for disappointment. I know it. And I don't want to be one of those guys where they're like, if I don't get this one thing, the whole show is terrible, because I'll end up
No,
loving it anyway, I'm
that's not
sure.
you.
But like,
That's not who you
no,
are.
I'm as much as I'm a drama queen on here, like I'm actually like quite reasonable otherwise. But
Yeah.
I'm desperate for Barriss Offee to show up in something. And even if they gave us a Tales of the Jedi episode around her, which if anyone needs further explanation, I would love to see more
Yeah.
of like the brewing behind the scenes of what led to her, because she was so unexpected as like the culprit. Like there was
Yeah.
no lead up. That would be my only
She
complaint in
was a
that whole
good girl
thing.
gone bad when
Yeah.
the good girl who plays by the rules all her life
And how? Like
has it blow
what
up,
happened?
literally blow up in her face. It's
Yeah.
like you
There's
just
so
lose
many
faith.
there's such a disconnect between where we started and where we ended up. And I went with it because I thought it was a great story. And like the fact that it was someone who was close to Ahsoka, who then framed Ahsoka, just made it seem so devious. And she didn't have that many friends, right? Like it was Anakin and Obi-Wan all the time, and R2D2 and Rex and
Right.
Cody, like, or not Cody, Rex and like Fives and the rest of the gang. But
Yeah.
like there weren't other Jedi friends. Like the rest of the Jedi were other masters who were off doing their other things. But like, if we were going to create a suspect list, I don't even know if I would have put her on it. Like it's just, Luminara and Barriss Offee would have never made my list of potential people. There are plenty of others who, like, if you told me it was like even Plo Koon, I would have been like, oh, I guess, like, you can find a way to get to that point. Like a
Yeah.
Jedi Master who's annoyed by the war and like we should never have been there to begin with. Sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Disenchanted with everything.
yeah, but like that really came out of nowhere. I'd like to connect those dots. If someone gave me that episode of like what would have essentially been a Clone Wars story in like the Tales of the Jedi or whatever, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
You know.
That'd be
All right,
amazing.
back to our list. Now that we're creating content for the rest of Lucasfilm, you guys, as we're we're gonna start. We're specking out the Ahsoka live action show. We're basically building the entirety of Tales of the Jedi. Let's go back to the show we're actually covering, Star Wars Rebels. We're continuing our top 10 list. We're at the halfway point already.
Yeah.
We are in the top half of your top 10. So, Ashley, tell us what your number 5 is on your top 10 list of
All
best
right.
Inquisitor moments.
My number 5 is Ezra tapping into the dark side of the Force to use a creature on the asteroid to attack the Inquisitor and gathering forces. And that's the first time you see Ezra slip and lose control and fall into the dark side of the Force, and uses his training with creatures to command their feelings and their thoughts and their actions to attack another living being. And it's kind of frightening, and it's very jarring for Kanan, and it's even more jarring for the Inquisitor because I don't think he was expecting Ezra to go that far into the dark side that fast. And it's just it kind of is a foretelling of the struggle that Ezra will have for most of the remainder of the series, and the struggle for that Kanan has in keeping him towards the light and away from the temptation of the dark side. So it's a big, big moment at the expense of the Inquisitor,
Yeah.
mostly, to foreshadow Ezra's future. And it is so cool to see him go from like not being able to like soothe the Loth cat to commanding this giant shadow cat thing
It's
to
scary.
attack somebody. It's so scary.
Yeah.
Speaking of shadow
Well,
cats,
speaking of cats, hey
there's
kitty.
Ahsoka.
Hi, hey girl. Hey girl, hey. My cats have been very good about not jumping up on my lap. But they're usually like all over.
Yep, there she
You
is.
got both her cats up there. Oh my gosh, she's really the same coloration as a loth cat. That's so crazy.
Yep, and she loves. And that Loth cat is from Build-A-Bear. His name is Kanan, and I have one from Galaxy's Edge named Kenobi, and
Oh,
she
nice.
loves snuggling with both of them. It's so funny. So,
That's fantastic. I'm a big cat guy myself.
yay!
Yeah, I mean my two Ripley and Hicks, and before that it was Fry and
Hey,
Leela. So always sci-fi-esque kind of
I
names.
love it. Perfection.
Um, so it's funny when I saw your list and I saw this moment with Ezra tapping into the dark side, I would put this on an Ezra listicle for sure.
Yeah,
Because like Ezra's moments throughout the series, as I think about the important moments that we like him getting his lightsaber, super important, or getting the crystal to build the lightsaber, super important. Him at the very end of the finale with Thrawn, like maybe his top moment ever. He can finally see the future clearly. Like him tapping into the dark side is a top 3 moment for Ezra, I think. Like in the entirety of the run, and he's in every
yeah,
episode of Star Wars Rebels, right? Like all 80 something episodes, he is in it. This is such a moment for him where it gets concerning, and it sets up what you said, like the path to the dark side and how quickly he can easily fall into it, and where it could have taken him if Kanan had not been such a good teacher. Kanan was always like doubting his teachings, but he's quite smart. Like he knows his stuff, and he knows how to teach someone like Ezra, which is not the conventional teaching methods. And he helps Ezra escape out of like that pull of the dark side. So I love this moment. I never think of it as being an Inquisitor moment, which is why it didn't make my list.
right.
But this is I think we should watch Gathering Forces at some point, and probably in like an Ezra watch along of some sorts, because this is such a great moment for him.
Now, do you feel like the fact that the Inquisitor had this moment and possibly filled in the other Inquisitors about Ezra's
Mm,
pull to the dark side, that's what made the Seventh Sister so seductive towards Ezra, and just kind of like, oh, he's
yeah,
got those
that
tendencies
through line is
already.
there. Yeah.
I can just start pulling the threads out of the cardigan of the light
Yes.
and just, get him to go to the dark side. And I think that their intel on their targets is thorough enough, and they obviously gossipy, gossipy Sith Lords. Um, they have enough knowledge on their targets to just use the threads, pull the threads,
Oh,
and they
without a
do
doubt.
they do it with Kanan and his master, and you'll see the Grand Inquisitor torturing Kanan and using that against him. It's just they use knowledge to hurt their targets.
Yeah.
So,
I easily this is probably how Seventh Sister figured it out. Like or was told by the Grand Inquisitor, because
right.
yeah, it would have been known that like also like he would be the Limpy Gazelle. Like if you're going after Kanan and Ezra, you go after Ezra. Easier to beat in battle, but also easier to trick. And Kanan's definitely a stronger fighter and more resistant. You'll see that
More
in like
years.
yeah. And in fact, like what you have next on your list, I think is a good moment as well, like related to Kanan. Um, it's the kind of thing where their their methods are super devious, right? And very smart. And that's what I love about it.
Truth. Yeah.
All right, so take us to our number to
So
your number 4.
my number 4 is Seven dueling Kanan. And as a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr., like this was like the matchup I didn't know I wanted, but it
Yep.
was once we had it, once we knew it was her in the episode, like, oh, she has to have a shot with Freddie. Like they've got to fight, they've got to do something, and it totally did not disappoint. Like so ruthless, so cunning. The banter is just love it. And it's so cool to see them acting together as adversaries because, for all intents and purposes, they're one of the best marriages I think in Hollywood. So to have them be on like dark and light side of the force, it was just really, really cool. And
Yeah.
it made my little nerdy heart happy to see to see it happen
Oh, for
in
sure.
Star
Same.
Wars. Yeah.
Once they cast him, I remember some people were like, they need to have Sarah Michelle do something. And I was like, that's never going to happen. And then it did. And I think I mentioned this last week, the panel at New York Comic Con where they announced her character and her joining the cast and how exciting it was. And I remember it was a moment,
Yeah.
because she's done some voice work, but this was a big deal for her joining like the Star Wars family. And then her character was really well done. And this duel with Kanan, I put it on my honorable mentions list. It didn't make my top 10 because she's in a couple of other spots, but their little banter is cute. And like it's a quick fight though, the two of them.
Right.
Like, it's part of like a larger thing that happens within Future of the Force, which we just watched last week.
Yes.
There's a lot that happens and a lot of like handoffs of who's fighting who with the blades. But in general, like there, we would say rivalry goes throughout the season the way that 5 and 7 are like chasing down Kanan and Ezra. And I think it's super well done. And the fact that it's them, Freddie and Sarah, makes it like that much more special.
Yeah. And I love how they modulate her voice so she doesn't sound
Yeah.
like Sarah Michelle Gellar right off the bat. They give her kind of a little more of an electronic sounding to it.
Yeah,
Like,
through the mask kind of thing, almost like Vader.
yeah,
You
but
get like a
even
little
when
bit
she
of
takes the mask off, like it's very pronounced there with the
yes,
mask on, but when she takes the mask off, it's there to a lesser degree. And I think it keeps the voice interesting without everyone being like, "Oh my God, it's Sarah Michelle Gellar."
right.
But it adds to her level of mystery and of cunning and of wickedness. So
Yeah.
she's kind of like the evil queen of Star Wars, right at this
Oh, without a
moment to
doubt.
me.
And this is
Yeah.
when we didn't have enough female characters. There were barely any. And
Yeah.
then Rebels came on and really started delivering, right? With Hera and Sabine in the main cast. And then you get
Absolutely.
Seventh Sister, Mon Mothma joins, and you start getting all these additional characters. Like I remember when we were building the Topps Women of Star Wars trading card set, we were joking that like in the entire original trilogy, it was Carrie Fisher and Carolyn Blackenston, right? Because like Aunt Beru was no longer with us, but like three
Right.
characters over the course of three movies. And then you get to the prequels and you start getting like some female Jedi and whatnot. The Clone Wars starts opening that up with animated versions of that. But then Rebels comes and like Rebels was, it could have been half the set with both characters and autograph signers.
And that's
You know,
exactly what I did with all my sketch cards.
yeah. Right.
I
You
went
sketched for that set, right?
I
Yeah.
went bananas. That was one of my favorite sets ever to
Yeah.
work on. And I'm so grateful you guys did that
Thank
because
you.
I pulled all these animated characters from Rebels, from Clone Wars, from the prequels, from the sequels, from The Mandalorian. It was chock full of ladies that were
Yeah.
powerful and tough and brave. And it was so cool to just be able to see these women who are just as cruel and devious and you know
Yeah.
dark
Good
side
villains. Yeah. Good
as
villains and good heroes.
Vader or the
Yeah.
Inquisitor or the Emperor themselves. And it was just Dave Filoni does such a good job in making sure that equal
You know,
representation is across the board. Love
you know
it.
who scares me among some of the women characters? Governor Price. Governor Price is terrifying.
Oh
Like
yeah.
with her little bob haircut and her, because I
Her
and
little
by the way,
Kate Blanchettness.
yeah. And Mary Elizabeth is the nicest person you'll ever meet. That's what's so
Yes.
funny. And I was like, how are you playing this character? And she's like, darling, it's acting. But she's also like an amazing voice director. She's
She really
directed a bunch of stuff. I
is.
think some Rebels and some
Resistance.
Resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's really good at her craft. And she signed for autographs for Topps as well. That's how I met her. And I met her at Rhode Island Comic Con and we brought her to Celebration in 2017. She's terrific.
Yeah.
She's actually married to Steve Bloom now. They were
Yes.
engaged at the time, and I don't think many people knew that. Now they're married. She's fantastic, and we love Governor Price. But like I remember as
Yes.
Rebels was coming to a close, and we were getting more of her character, and someone asked her in an interview, like, "Is she just ambitious, or is she really evil?" And she was like, "Oh no, darling, she's evil. Like she's evil.
Yeah.
The ambition has brought her to a whole other level. That
She
like,
blew up
she,
a fuel depot to
yeah,
kill people. Like
she
she
killed
has
Kanan.
no.
That's all right. So as we think about like the deaths, like who kills who in Star Wars, Governor Price killed Kanan, the
Yeah.
strongest Jedi in this show. Like that's the kind of thing where it's like she killed Kanan. Like there's no coming back from that. She's irredeemable. I'm gonna put her on the irredeemable list.
I
So
remember meeting Mary Elizabeth at Rhode Island Comic Con in 20, I think it was 2017 now.
that
And
sounds right. Yeah.
I told her, I love you to pieces. You are a fantastic voice actress. But oh my God, Governor Price.
Oh
And she
yeah.
goes, I know, darling.
Yeah.
She just said it in that voice, and I lost it. I was like, and she even wrote like "Glory to the Empire" on my
Yep.
autograph picture. Like she's so beautiful and so nice
She's
and
so
so
cool.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But Governor
Hi, Mary
Price.
Elizabeth, if you're out there. I don't know if she'll see this. We'll send her a
Oh, she
little shout
does.
out.
It's there, but
She's good people.
yes, she really is. And
We're
it's
gonna
just ruthlessness, pure ruthlessness.
we need a listicle now. Now that we're in like the women of Star Wars territory, we need a listicle. I don't want to rank women. That's not my intention, but I want to go through our favorite moments from the women characters.
Yeah.
Maybe guest stars or something, because we have so many from Hera and Sabine that could be they could have their own list. But like even Governor Price probably has enough where there's like a Governor Price like special episode. We're gonna do that with Mon Mothma when we get to our Andor build up, our road to Andor as we're calling it.
Yeah, that's
The
exciting.
journey to Andor, road to Andor. We haven't really figured that out yet, but like
Andor
the countdown
August.
to Andor August, the countdown to Andor. There will be a whole Mon Mothma episode, and we're going to talk about some of her great moments. Obviously, we're going to watch like the episode from Rebels that she is best known for, which is Secret Cargo, and we're going to talk other Rebel stuff. I feel like Governor Price deserves one of those as well, especially with like the killing of Kanan. That's probably her number one moment.
Jedi Knight would definitely be number one.
Like, oh, girl, you've set you like game changer for the series right there. But yeah, now meanwhile, that is neither an Inquisitor moment.
Yes. Sorry, we're going off the rails here.
Yeah, that's every episode. I do enjoy too that like I realize that this is a pre-recorded, not live, but I hope in the comments people are like, do they remember what list they're doing? We love the comments every week, and I'm hoping that everyone
appreciate you guys.
Your lists as well, and gives you time as we talk about these other things. Also, maybe it'll inspire you guys to come up with an idea for another episode for us. Because as we were talking about the Women of Star Wars trading card set, I was going to say like we couldn't even do that set until Rebels was in like season 3 because there weren't enough women to make a base set. Like there just simply weren't. I think we had to wait for like episode 8 of Last Jedi and Solo: A Star Wars Story and Rebels just to have enough.
It was Mando season 1. Yeah,
it was nuts how long it took. Yeah, it came out in 2020. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Like because we had Mando in there and Resistance had come out too. So we had Resistance signers. We had something from everyone. I remember too. Fun. We got Shelby Lynn who played Leia in like Forces of Destiny.
Yes.
Sign. We got like we went crazy deep on everything. We had women sign as like multiple characters if they did voice work. Like I think Anna Graves signed as Satine and she might have done some others as well. Like
she did.
We had a few of those where it was really fun, but like we couldn't even get there until Rebels really helped take us over the line with the characters that they introduced. So maybe there's something we can do on here with like
and we want to hear what you guys think, what you guys want to have us talk about in a listicle. We'll pull something together, take notes, anything you guys can think of. Feel free to leave it in the comments. We're here to make this your show as much as it is our show.
Yeah, that'd be really fun to do. I have my number 4
number
now.
4.
I have, and this is on your list. Is this on your the Grand Inquisitor's final duel against Kanan and Ezra and Fire Across the Galaxy? So this whole episode is just spectacular, and we've been teasing it for a little while that we are going to do a Fire Across the Galaxy watch along. We
that
didn't
one
want
is
to get
not
to
on my list.
Oh, you didn't have it on your list?
No.
Okay.
I starting to deviate.
This. Yeah, we're in the thick of it. I felt that this was, the Grand Inquisitor does fight Kanan and Ezra a few different times, including like early on in the series. This one though is where he gets the best of them, knocks Ezra off a platform. Kanan thinks Ezra died, and then Kanan goes crazy town and was like, well, now I have nothing left to be concerned about, and takes him down and like pulls a great little move out where he like sort of sticks his lightsaber in between the spinning mechanism and like breaks the lightsaber, and then the Inquisitor is hanging on by his fingers on the ledge, and then releases and essentially kills himself and jumps into the lava and says there are some things worse than death, and it was going to be Vader like getting revenge on him or whatever, or failure to Vader would be worse than dying. So he's like, oh, I'm dead. Then it turns out Vader's going to use his ghost, so you can't escape Vader. So
Yeah. And
but
that's
that
the
whole
thing that's
fight,
worse than death. Yeah.
yeah, that whole fight really brings out everyone's like big character moments, and I think it's a fitting end to the Inquisitor. Like he really gets a good send off. It's also a really worthy season finale. Introduces Bail. We get the Ahsoka lives thing in that episode because at that point we did not know, and then it turns out she's alive and she's been Fulcrum this whole time. So a lot happens in Fire Across the Galaxy, and it fits into like Bail's storyline, the Inquisitor storyline, Kanan and Ezra's teaching. We journey to Mustafar, so Vader's now involved. Like, and it sort of signals to you that Vader is going to become a more prominent character in season 2. And of course, it like kicks off the Ahsoka run of everything that happens in season 2. So
yes.
I just think this episode is one that we need to do a watch along after we get through Andor August and whatever else is going to happen. We may revisit this one and do a whole thing on Fire Across the Galaxy. I just love it.
Right. And it also closes the chapter on the Grand Inquisitor being the big bad for that episode. Because before, Callus was just kind of like, an agent, just kind of bebopping around. He didn't really have the big bad except for, obviously the Empire. But having the Inquisitor be there and the Grand Inquisitor be there and suddenly not, like you have to wonder if he knew that he was going to be bested and that he couldn't defeat Kanan because Kanan had nothing left. He couldn't play the Ezra card with him anymore, and he had nothing left to fear. And he knew that one way or another, Kanan was going to kill him, and he just had to go out on his own terms to set himself free. Yeah. And I think that was a big part of this episode. Like he didn't have to die. Like Kanan was going to pull him back up.
Yeah.
But
again, like, bad decision, but
But you know what? It didn't work out in a sabotagey kind of way. Like he just let go. So even if he had changed his mind and pulled up, like, there wouldn't have been anywhere else for him to go. Because he would, again, either have to join the rebels or die at the hands of Vader for betraying him.
Yeah. The answers, the choices aren't great. That's for sure.
So he made his own choice.
And that's sort of the lesson, isn't it? Like the dark side only takes you so far. It feels like you're winning, and then ultimately, like they all end up dead. Every Inquisitor that we've met so far, basically.
Rule of 2.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. There can only be 2. The rest of you are just pawns. You're minions.
And that's a great pick. Like, honestly, kudos on that one. You. It's such a powerful scene.
I would just love everything about that episode. That fight in particular it's a great one. All right, we're in top 3 territory, and we're closing in on the end of the episode too. So Ashley, tell everyone your number 3 moment.
All right, my number 3 is Inquisitors 5, 7, and 8 versus Ahsoka, Kanan, Ezra, and Maul in Twilight of the Apprentice. So this is a huge. Well, up until that point, it was the biggest like lightsabery battle we had in Rebels until this point. And honestly, it didn't disappoint. Like you just watching Maul out of the corner of your eye, what are you going to do? Don't entirely trust him. The Inquisitors are climbing up the temple and just, trying to get to the holocron before you do. And it's just a race to the top of that pyramid, and Maul's taking out people at the knees, and it's just a really heavy, like I said, it's a race to get to that holocron and to stop the Sith.
And everyone wants it. They're all there with their own agendas. Maul is the wild card in this whole situation because 5, 7, and 8. We've seen Seventh Sister and Eighth Brother fight Ahsoka and not do particularly well. We've seen them fight Kanan and Ezra do incredibly well. Eighth Brother hasn't really been around very much, but like this is actually not an even matchup. Like the Ahsoka side, Ahsoka, Kanan, Ezra, and Maul should wipe the floor with the 3 of them, and they do. Like as you saw from the other pieces of our running listicle, 5, 7, and 8 are all dead. It starts here with the big 3 versus 4, and then it sort of splits off into its various groups where everyone sort of bites the dust and Kanan gets blinded. Like a lot happens in this episode. Maul has to flee Kanan obviously gets injured. Ahsoka takes on Vader, and we think she dies. Turns out, World Between Worlds, she saved. Ezra gets the holocron. Man, what an episode! Like Twilight of the
It's
Apprentice,
so much.
it
Yes.
could have been a series finale. It was such a big moment. Like if you had told me that like Rebels was a flop and like this was how it was going to end, and like they left it on a cliffhanger, like this is cinema worthy. Like these two episodes together,
Oh yeah.
and it makes you want more. Actually, like I remember people who weren't into Rebels who finally kind of got into it because of Ahsoka and watched a few of these episodes and then saw Twilight. They were like, oh my god, Twilight of the Apprentice. They then started watching Rebels. Like this is the
Yes.
episode that will get you into the series.
Truth. Yeah. There's so much craziness that happens in this episode. And when Maul blinds Kanan, like
Oof. Yeah,
I lost my ever loving mind. Oh my God.
yeah. Makes it
Like,
onto the Maul listicle and the Kanan listicle for sure.
yes, definitely. It was such a hard thing to watch because Kanan had done so much fighting the Inquisitors and then come out relatively unscathed. And
Yeah,
Maul does the dirtiest thing in the book and just slashes him across the face.
yeah.
Like,
Can't trust
really?
him.
No,
Yeah,
you are not going to go out like that.
no.
So, but it was cool to see the eighth brother in action too, because he's not a character that we had seen a lot up until that point.
Yeah.
And he's kind of, I don't know, like almost reptilian in his look and his movements. And it
He's
was
a
just,
Django jumper or something like that.
yes. So
Um,
it was really cool to just see, a newer character, like not the humanoid looking ones, but something that's truly alien being an Inquisitor.
yep.
And that part was really cool to me.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And we got enough. We got a little bit of time with him, like just enough to understand who he is. He was also not there hunting Kanan or Ezra. He was
Right.
hunting Maul. He says, "Oh, I'm hunting a shadow." And we're like, "Who?" And then, of course, it's Maul. Of course, it's Maul. I
Of
should know
course
by
it's
now, right? Like by now, they should really. It's stupid for me
yeah.
to. How could it not be Maul? And then, it didn't go well for him. What are you doing? Like, don't pick a fight with Darth Maul. Like, you're not gonna win.
Mm-mm.
Even Ezra and Kanan and Ahsoka, and they were not naive. They knew the whole time not to trust him, but they let their guard down for like a split second, and there you go. Like Maul killed all the other people, and now he's ready to start killing you. You just got
Yeah.
lucky that you were able to stop him, and you just got blinded. Like he should have sliced your head off. Like if
Yeah.
you were a split second later, you'd be dead.
Any
Yeah,
other normal time that would have been his head. Django Fett. Hello.
yeah,
He wasn't blinded, but yeah.
yeah,
And I think it's also like a really good show, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
yeah.
where, they don't trust Maul, but he's against the Inquisitors, so they kind of have to work together to stop them, but
Yeah.
they
And they
still
need to
can't
work
trust him.
together to get to the top of the holocron, the chase to the top of the pyramid. Like it takes two
Yes.
of them. So they have this begrudging sort of temporary alliance, and it is temporary. As soon as Maul doesn't need them anymore, bam, like
He does
you
not
know,
care.
yeah, and he's singularly focused on his success, which is ultimately what becomes his downfall. So great moment, excellent moment for Maul and Kanan. But in general, like I would recommend anyone, like if you haven't watched Twilight of the Apprentice recently, watch it again because we just saw like a thread of it in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show as well with the split mask situation. Where Obi-Wan is talking to Darth Vader after he slices half his mask off, and that whole scene is an homage to this episode of Star Wars Rebels, the Twilight of the Apprentice, where Ahsoka and Vader have an incredibly similar, we'll say, almost suable copyright interaction. Like I know I'd sue somebody because that is a lifted idea. But
Just on the
I
opposite side of the face. Yeah.
yes, like poetry, it's stolen. So yeah, it's not. Does it rhyme or was it a rehash? Either way, like it works in both cases. By the way, like I actually think the Rebels version is slightly better, but I'm biased.
Right.
But love
And
that whole episode.
yeah, so good. Such a good episode.
So by the way, that's my number two. So same with you that like you have it as your number three. I have it as my number two moment. So
Yes.
yes. All right, tell
Good
everyone
choice.
your number two moment.
All right, my number two moment is Ahsoka fighting 5 and 7 in Future of the Force. And in this scene you see Ahsoka, you haven't seen her since Clone Wars. You haven't seen her since she left the Jedi Temple because they canceled the series at that point. So you don't get to see her when this is airing. Don't see her go up against Maul because it hasn't happened yet. And that cinematic season 7 of Clone Wars. So you just, you don't get to see her fight. You don't get to see her new lightsabers. And she just, pulls them out and you see that white lightsaber, those white lightsabers, and they're just phenomenal. And her skills of a Jedi, non-Jedi, Force user have grown immensely. She's become more talented and more sure in her abilities of lightsaber fighting. Um, she is swift. She is cunning. She has been, fulcrum all these years, and she's been training most likely undercover. And it's just so cool to see her go up against, two Inquisitors and a whole bunch of stormtroopers and still come out on top because she may not be a Jedi, but she's still one with the Force. It's
Yeah.
just so cool.
She saves the day. I mean,
Totally.
Kanan and Ezra didn't stand a chance. And then when those doors open, we just watched it last week with the white light and then the white lightsabers reveal, and she mops the floor with them, and she easily takes them down in a way that was like so calm and just like so like she's so in tune with her power. She's probably at the height of her powers at this moment. And with the white lightsabers, which we learned from the book, is her getting back the lightsabers that were red and like purifying them, like unbleeding them or whatever the word is that they use. And she stops the seventh sister and actually retracts her lightsaber and pulls the blade out of her hand and like tosses it aside. Again, I think she should have killed her. But like, that's not great storytelling, right? Like we wouldn't do like in universe, she should have killed her, but for like the production of the show and the story we're trying to tell here, that obviously wouldn't make sense. But like Ahsoka, not to be trifled with, like she took down the fifth brother and the seventh sister with barely trying, and she is as I say, assisted in the death of the fifth brother with Maul, right? I'm sure she would have maybe tried to prevent an actual kill if given the chance, but like she also goes toe to toe with Vader in that Twilight of the Apprentice episode as well. And so like we see these like breadcrumbs leading up to the fact that like if she's able to take on 5 and 7 and then in this big fight with all of the Inquisitors in Twilight, yes, she could go toe to toe with Vader and potentially survive. Her former master Anakin, who she's been trying to unravel the mystery of his identity throughout most of season 2. She's trying to figure out like who is this guy, and then she realizes that it's him, and she kind of can't believe it.
No, it leaves her just as shook as it does Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's terrible. This is my number 1 moment on my list. So
please.
Your number 2 moment, Ahsoka fighting 5 and 7. I have it as my number 1 moment as well. Not super surprising that I love the seventh sister. I love Ahsoka. I love the fifth brother too. Obviously, Ahsoka is like one of my all-time favorite characters. And this fight is so well done, and it gives you so many glimpses into the actual characters. What makes them tick, like what their real characteristics are. Whereas in Twilight, like it's the end game of all of that. Like we're seeing the results of the way the season played out, and we're getting a lot of death scenes. In Twilight, like our list to go was largely like who killed who when in Twilight and The Apprentice. But I love this in Future of the Force because we're just learning, it's her triumphant return, and we're seeing the fifth brother and the seventh sister like put up a pretty good fight against Kanan and Ezra, but then get manhandled by Ahsoka. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and she's so zen and so peaceful. Like I feel like Rosario's character when we see her in Book of Boba Fett with Luke and how calm and how peaceful she is, and it's that Ahsoka coming through.
Yeah, it's the Rebels version of Ahsoka that we've seen in season 2, miles away from Clone Wars season 1.
Totally, people grow in Star Wars.
Yeah. I will say she's got one of the better character growth arcs for sure. All right, we're at the end. My list is fully complete, by the way. So I made it through my 10. You have your number 1 left, and it was not on my list at all. So share with everyone your insane choice for number 1 because I love it.
All right, you guys, you know me. You know how much I love my angry little murder droid. My number 1 is Chopper using a TIE fighter to defeat the 8th brother. Just trying to go back. Which one is it?
He like plays it like a video game, right?
Oh, he totally does. He totally does. So you see him at the controls of the TIE fighter, and first of all, he's like running away from the eighth brother, like, oh, and then he throws the lightsaber at him and he's just like, whoa, and ends up getting through the hole that was cut into the TIE fighter and piloting the TIE fighter. So he turns the ship towards the eighth brother and he's sitting there with the controls and his little claw hands and he's just blasting the eighth brother.
It's
And he's
amazing.
laughing maniacally the whole time. And he ends up defeating him. And, you know, he not only gets blasted and loses his lightsaber, but like, you know, Ahsoka and Kanan walk up and they step on his lightsaber when he's crawling towards him to get it. And Kanan's line about Chopper is like, Chopper, sometimes like just you do the craziest things. And it's just, it was such a cool thing because you know he's shaking his head, but he's so appreciative with what Chopper has done. And Chopper's just like, whoop, 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 like
Chopper
laughing.
always delivers. Yeah.
Totally delivers. And
I love that Chopper is at your number one on the Inquisitor
he
list.
Totally is. And you know what? Because, you know, it goes to show you don't have to be a Force user to defeat an Inquisitor.
No.
You can just be a feisty little murder droid with piloting abilities.
Yeah. I will say I left Zeb off my list, but as you're saying that, like, he really saved the day in Always Two There Are. And
honorable mention.
Yep. Ezra mentions it in the episode at the end, saying that like he and Sabine would have been dead if it weren't for Zeb, who was quick on his feet, thinking about how to get them out of that very dangerous situation. And then he actually fought the fifth brother a little bit, but then at some point, like they just use the Force powers and you're done. Like it's really not a fair fight for any Force user versus like a regular person. But like Zeb put up a great fight too. And Chopper, by the way, all of Chopper's like fight scenes and death scenes are always hilarious and super well done. And whoever choreographs the stuff is great.
It's baloney.
Yeah, it's like incredible. And it is a Twilight of the Apprentice moment, which I appreciate because like we really hung it. Like if you look at our list and it's like the episodes you need to watch if you love the Inquisitors are obviously Twilight of the Apprentice, which is the 2-part season 2 finale. And then Always Two There Are, which we watched last week, Future of the Force, which we watched last week. And then the stuff from the Grand Inquisitor are some of the ones we've already touched on a little bit, but we'll put together like a comprehensive list like in the comments for everyone of like, here's like the full list of all Inquisitor episodes. There aren't that many, like fifth brother and seventh sister are each in like 7 episodes, and the Grand Inquisitor isn't in every episode of season 1. So you could have a good little afternoon binge and pretty much catch up on all of our friends over here.
Right. And, you know, getting back to what you were saying with Zeb was really doubting himself in that episode and doubting his abilities in the Ghost Fam. And he came through for them and they recognized it. So it's very important. You know, they truly are a family and they truly are bonding together to save each other and using their strengths.
Different to the table. Yeah, different skills. You know, Zeb's got experience in this space. Whereas like Ezra's got the Force powers. You know, they all bring something a little bit different. And Chopper brings like the murder intensity, the piloting capability, you know, the technology, all of that. He's an underrated member of the crew, the same way Zeb is for sure.
But that was a fantastic list.
We have so many moments, and we have a lot of overlap, but also some you know, unique moments to each of us. So I hope everyone else made your own list and shares it in the comments so we can review and tell you that you're wrong. Oh, here's my kitty now. Hold on. Hello, kitty. Hi.
Oh, I love black kitties.
Yes, I'm gonna get swatted when I hold you like a baby like this. You hate this. Oh, they hate this so much.
Oh,
like,
they do.
Like
I've only known one cat of mine who's ever loved that.
She's big girl. She's feisty. But I've also been in here a little while. That's Ripley, and then Hicks is over there. They've been actually really good, but like I've been in here a while, so they're probably checking on me, being like, "What are you doing?" So that's our list. So thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Next week, Andor August. Oh man, Monday, August 1st, the start of Andor August. Our first episode, and we can do some reveals. We can tell people what we're going to watch, and we'll get a big graphic with like all of the stuff that's coming. But I'm so excited because we finally locked in the Rebel side of the programming. The rest of the VCN will also be coming soon with everything they're going to watch because we're a week away at this point.
You guys, so much content. It's so much Cassian content. It's beautiful.
It's time to do your homework. So obviously Andor is about Cassian Andor, but it's going to be part of the building of the rebellion. And we wanted to make everything Rogue One centric, and Saw Gerrera, Mon Mothma, Bail Organa. Those are really the characters that we're going to be celebrating in this watch along. So
Right.
Monday, August 1st, we'll kick off. We'll do a double episode again of our watch alongs. We've typically been doing 2 episodes. Ghosts of Geonosis, which is very much a Saw Gerrera
I love that
experience.
episode.
It's a 2-parter. So a season 3, episodes 12 and 13. Then Monday, August 8th, Secret Cargo, which is my favorite, one of my favorites, and it's a Mon Mothma heavy episode. It is the Mon Mothma episode. So we're just going to watch the one episode, and we're going to talk a lot about Mon Mothma because I got a lot of things to say. So all good stuff. We love her.
Mon Mothma's back.
Can't wait. Can't wait for her.
So good.
Monday, August 15th. In the Name of the Rebellion, parts 1 and 2. And this is from season 4. So one of the things about like the Rogue One connectivity is sort of starts midway through season 3 and it goes through season 4. So it really carries the last half of Rebels as they become part of like the larger cell. So In the Name of the Rebellion 1 and 2 is actually the major confrontation between Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera. So if you guys have seen that sort of fight there, that's where that is from. And then Monday, August 22nd, we'll be watching The Occupation and Kindred, which also feature Mon Mothma. And then on Monday, August 29th, it'll be our Andor prediction show. So at that point, it's only a couple of days before the Andor show actually arrives.
2 days, yeah.
We will have seen however many trailers, whatever new news is coming at San Diego, whatever other news might be coming at D23. We will have watched all of this from Star Wars Rebels. We would have done all of the other VCN content. So Ashley and I are just going to sit here and make crazy town predictions about what we think we're going to see in the Andor show. So,
you guys, I'm so excited about this. So excited about this. Talented
really
cast, amazing cinematic scenes from the trailer that we've had so far. It's going to be epic, and the VCN and us, we're all going to get really, really sweaty about it and dive into it. I cannot wait for this. I love Rogue One, so this is like a huge deal to me. Like it's second on my list of like Star Wars favorite properties.
It's your number 2 movie.
It's my number 2. Yes.
Okay. It's top 5 for me.
Yeah.
Which I guess there's only 11 movies, aren't there? Right? Are there 11 at this point?
Yes.
Yeah. My top 5 doesn't make it seem like it's that great, but it is top 5. I love all of this.
It's a big
problem,
deal,
right? Like, and if we're gonna go with objectively best versus favorite, like it's a slightly different list. Like I do think objectively Rogue One is one of the best. And I'd put it up there like right below Empire. Is that yours? Is it Empire and Rogue One? Yeah, makes sense. Favorites wise, I still tell people all the time, I'm Return of the Jedi. Like there's no stopping it. Like I love everything about Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite. I grew up on it. Like it holds that like nostalgia pull. But objectively, it is not as good a movie as Empire. I understand that. But I will.
But your favorite is your favorite.
Exactly. And at the same time too, like I would say, the Clone Wars finale, like Siege of Mandalore, the 4-part final arc of Clone Wars season 7, if that were a movie the way they had planned for it to be a movie, would shoot to the top for me. Like I would put that above easily. Empire, like and both on favorite list and on what I think objectively is the best. So, and that one I'll fight people on. Like if you want to, like, I'm gonna say it's better than Empire. Sorry about it. So
there you go.
Yeah, there we go. That'll be a whole other thing. Like we should do a ranking. Like, well, where can we start fights? How are we gonna get views and clicks? Like, gonna put out something insane in the title and be like, yes, this Clone Wars thing is better than Empire Strikes Back, and have everyone come after me.
And then fight me underneath it.
Exactly. But for August, join us please for Andor August, starting Monday, August 1st with next week, Ghosts of Geonosis, parts 1 and 2, where we will do a watch along for Saw Gerrera's introduction in Rebels, which is very exciting. And the VCN will be announcing the rest of their programming very soon.
Yeah, so make sure you tune in, watch all week long with the VCN. You guys, it's going to be so much fun. There's so much planned for this month, for the month of August, and it's going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited for this.
Excellent. All right. Well, on that note, we are going to say goodbye. And
thank you guys for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for tuning into our listicle. We'll do more of these in the future. If you have any listicle ideas, just put them in the comments. And but we are booked all through August now, as are you. So join us next week for the start of Andor August.
Yeah, so make sure you queue up your Disney Plus and join us because it's good stuff. Why wouldn't you? What else are you doing on Monday nights?
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and may the force be with you.
Bye, guys.